So when I was outdoors as a kid, I would even go alone oftentimes here in the bush in Sudbury, and I would climb these rock cliffs like right beside a swamp and try not to fall in. And
she'd have all her gear. She'd have the canteen, tracking tape, spare granola bar for us, a biscuit for our dog in case he got hungry, and we'd head out first thing in the morning. And she would mark our trail, and this is at the age of about, I would say, probably 10, 11.
But it's really from these little challenges that, you know, when the opportunity came, following university, when my studies are complete and I was in my first job, and I was asked, or told rather, I had to use my vacation time. I went to the travel agent, and when she asked me, you know, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, it was in that moment, for real, that behind her was a picture of a mountain, and I was speaking with her much like I'm talking to you right now, but looking in the background behind her going, mountain climbing. I've always wanted to try mountain climbing. And so I found myself on an expedition to Kilimanjaro in about, I think now it was 2002. Standing on top of Kilimanjaro that first time, really feeling quite unwell, but that really remarkable feeling of finding like you found the thing that you've been meant to do this whole time was the greatest feeling in the world.
And over the years, we're still very concerned, but know in our hearts that this is what Meagan wants to do. This is her passion. And we also know that she does it with a lot of thought and a lot of consideration to every move she makes. She doesn't make one move when she's on an adventure that hasn't been pre-planned or pre-thought out.
Each year I was obligated to go on vacation. And so with each of those times, I found climbing trips that would meet my schedule. I took each mountain that I climbed as its own course, in a sense. But at one point, an older gentleman, he pulled me aside and said, Meagan, can I talk to you? And he goes, Meagan, do you realize what you've done? I go, no, but I'm sure you're gonna tell me. He goes, Meagan, you've climbed 5 of the 7 summits. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. 5 of the 7 summits, okay. Huh. And he was right. At this point, I had climbed Kilimanjaro, Aconcagua, Mount Everest, Denali, and now I had finished climbing Vinson Massif. And there's something called, you know, the 7 Summits Challenge in mountain climbing. So, yeah, I guess I was on my way. But I looked at him and said, yeah, but the 2 mountains that remain are, one is in Australia, and the other one is Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. Like, how am I gonna, you know, neat. 5 out of 7, but I'm happy with 5 out of 7. I found myself on a work trip to Australia. And so we found one weekend we ended up driving up to the mountain and climbed it in like a couple of hours. And then that was it. I climbed now 6 of the 7 summits while I was in Australia. That only meant though Mount Everest was left. But again, when you think of Mount Everest, I'm not someone who looks at it as a bucket list thing. I think you really have to be prepared to climb a mountain like Mount Everest. I think it deserves the respect of a climber to go there, that you're trained and that you've put the effort and time in to learn skills to do it well. I had been for years drafting kind of sponsorship levers, but never sending them out because I always thought, like, I'm nobody, like who's gonna care about this project?
Back in 2006, I came back from a business trip late on a Friday afternoon, decided I'd start clearing off the mail. So I started clearing it off and I came across this package, a proposal package, obviously, just looking at it. But I started to read, and this was a package from Meagan. And it became more intriguing as I read on. Here was a young woman of 29 who had climbed 6 of the highest peaks of 6 continents and had 1 more to go. And from what I could determine, almost no one in Sudbury knew about her. And I thought that was, so something was missing there. And here she was wanting to climb Everest. And it was clear from her previous climbs that she had the capacity to do this. This wasn't just a dream. So I thought we should do this. But as the thing that struck me about the package was its authenticity. But it was like Meagan, it was authentic. And the more you read, the more you realized how serious this was. And then when we got to the end, she told me that she was turned on to science and studied science because of attending Science North summer science camps, and she got me there. The deal was done, so I decided we should support her.
We first met Meagan back in 2006 when she was ready to just take on one of the biggest adventures of her lifetime, finishing her goal of completing the 7 summits and climbing Mount Everest. And she really wanted to involve Science North. Science North was a place for her that she had been inspired as a young person, and she really wanted to bring school kids and of course our visitors on this amazing journey with her. So over the months before she went, of course, to climb Mount Everest, we worked directly with her to think of ways that we could do that. And one of them was about building an exhibit at the Science Center where visitors could come, where students could come during their school programs and learn exactly all the challenges that would face her as she was climbing up this mountain.
The sun was just starting to break, so it was very early dawn. So all we were looking at was a clean summit ridge and a couple of climbers just starting off on it. And it was amazing. We took a quick break and we just started to go along the ridge, the summit ridge, and make our way to the summit of the world, really. And it was great. It was a really nice experience. And we got to the summit, and the other climbers who had been ahead of us, they had turned around and come back and made a call to Science North. And that was pretty fun to do. And people always say, it sounds like you were crying. I'm like, no, I was trying to breathe. I had my mask off.
Having the support of someone like Science North has been really great. But seeing the generosity of the people of Sudbury blew my mind, to be honest. So if I could just put out a great big thank you to every single person who was interested in this and contributed and just was a part of this experience of me achieving the 7 summits. I mean, that's what it's about. So thank you to everybody out there.
So she's on her way down from the story that we've heard, and she came across this girl that was in trouble. And rather than continue on, she chose to stop and say, no, we need to get help for her. But to me, it really showcased everything that I already knew about my sister, was that she's brave. She does these amazing feats that normal humans don't do. But at the same time, she's not just doing it for herself. She's aware of what everybody else around her, the safety of everybody else around her.
She just really does things to push boundaries, physical, psychological, but also to promote field sciences, exploration. I just find her an all-around inspirational person, and I think she'd be a great ambassador for Science North and for women in STEM.
But I got to watch all of these young girls look up to her and say, wow, if she can do that, I bet you I could do it too.
I can't care about a planet that we don't understand and we don't explore. If all we're doing is looking at our phones and that's what we understand of the planet, I don't know if we're getting the true essence of what it's like to be in a hot, sweaty, muddy, difficult jungle. One of the hardest things I ever done was trying to go through a jungle that with every step was trying to prevent you from moving forward. And it's the most amazing experience. But then you realize maybe the jungle's trying to protect something, and you can't really understand until you're there. And then you don't have that appreciation. So go out and experience it and feel the heat and feel the sweat and feel the dirt. You can go home and shower later. It's all good.